Hey guys, so I just shared on my last video how power is in the tongue. The power of life or death is in the tongue. And I want to talk about marketplace conversations. So there's been a couple conversations that I've had recently. One was at work, and I usually don't get involved in a whole lot of conversations just because I'm very focused on my work. Plus, I don't, I don't need everyone like getting offended, when we're at work. But there's been a couple conversations, and I want to share them. What I'm seeing is it's really hard to disagree with people in a way. You have to respectfully disagree, and you have to know how to discern and how to divide truth with lies in this society. So it's really difficult to be on your toes. So I just had a conversation. I was sitting at the bus station, and a young girl came in there, a young black girl, and she was talking about how she was freezing. And she goes, don't take this the wrong way, but you're white, right? And I'm thinking, I've never been asked this before, right? And I'm thinking this is going to probably turn into a racist conversation. And she's like, Colorado, you all white people are made for this work. And, don't take offense to this, she said, but I think you are made for this. And I'm like, actually, I am usually very cold. So I was trying to figure out why I wasn't cold when she was bundled up. And I'm like, it's probably just because, I've been having hot flashes, all that stuff. So maybe that's why. So we hit a pause in our conversation, and I'm trying to figure out why she is so cold when the sun is shining. So I said something like, so where are you from? Because I'm thinking she's probably been trained to wear a lot of clothing, and maybe she's been in a really cold environment, right? So she's like, Atlanta, Georgia. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I had said something like, I heard it's really rough over there. And she's like, you just said that because you were offended because I said you're white, right? So she totally jumped in the conversation. I'm like, no, that's not what I was saying. Because you said, and turned it back on the other person, I said, because you said that, I was trying to figure out where you might be from, so that, because you're so cold, I was wondering where you were from. And I said, I just heard, Atlanta's really rough. And she's like, who did you hear that from? I said, just a friend. And she's like, probably a white friend, right? And I'm like, actually, no, I've heard it often. I think it's actually a fact. I have black friends too. So I knew this was going to be kind of a political conversation. And then it went on to, what are your thoughts? She's like, I love these kind of conversations. What are your thoughts? Do you think everyone should get minimum wage? And no. Yeah, do you think the minimum wage should be raised? And I'm like, yeah, I do. She's like, you do? She goes, if you do, people get priced out. And she's like, so what happens is, because everyone gets more money, I have to go learn more skills. And who's paying for that? I'm like, I think there does need to be a living amount people can live on, but definitely those who are willing to earn it deserve more, right? So I said, let me give you an example. If I'm at work and I'm willing to be cross-trained, I'm more valuable with being willing to learn new skills than somebody who's not willing to. I said, do you know what I mean? And she's like, yeah. So she's like, okay, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I think there should be a baseline affordability for people, but if you're going to learn, people who are willing to work hard deserve more. So I said, okay, let me ask you a question now. Are you a person of faith? Are you a Christian? And yeah, she said she was. So that was really a conversation that needed to be navigated carefully, because I'm like, where do you go to church right now? She's not in church. It doesn't mean all Christians are going to be focused on Christ. That's where the unity is, But we're living in a very polarized America right now. She even went into Democrats, and I'm not even going there. I'm not having a political conversation, right? Because it doesn't matter, right? You just don't have time for it. So this also happened at a workplace too. Somebody was talking and saying, "What do you think about guns?" And this is the conversation that I did get involved in. And there were three of us talking about guns, and I'm like, I'm not afraid to defend myself and shoot someone if I have to. And this person's like, well, I would rather somebody hurt me than me to hurt them. And I'm like, are you saying like if you had someone come over to you and you're gonna cut your head off, you're not gonna do anything about it? And they're like, yeah, for me personally, I would rather kill than to live with on my conscience of killing someone. And I'm thinking I wouldn't have a problem with that at all, defending myself. So this other person too, we were talking about other people, and they were saying, well, someone's going to hurt my grandmother, I am going to fight, stick up for her. And he's like, don't you have value on different relationships? And I thought that was a good way to discern this, because if someone's coming after you or your property, there's more value on your family, right, than to a total stranger. So these conversations are interesting, and if you end up on the wrong side of the popularity side, sometimes people will get offended, and they will even, be a mean girl and take it out on you. And if you don't agree with them politically. And like I said, I had a mean girl comment yesterday in my video earlier today, and I actually said, yeah, I've been to college, I went to hairdressing school, I raised all my kids, and I've been around. So, you've got to put your foot down with people, and they just want to be divisive. But I think we're also living in a culture where people have not developed these relationships and be able to understand that you should be able to disagree and agree to disagree and still be friends. But just realize, look, we just have different views on this, but this is what I love about this person. And that's kind of how I turned the conversation at the bus stop today. I'm like, oh, so you're a Christian. Okay, so I am too. And find the common ground. And even when we were talking about different things, I said, yeah, I agree with you on that. So we should not be living in a society that we're being divisive. We should be able to find what we agree on, right? And what we have in common. So I just thought at the end of the conversation today, she kind of backed down